Okay, I'm taking a bit of a chance here now. I saw this image, Google Analytics on, where was it, Facebook. So I thought this would be a good example to try and mimic. It's got some nice sort of shine and gloss and everything, and probably to help looking at the different components and see how we can replicate it. So before we get started, I'm going to just lock this layer so I don't constantly move it around. I click that lock button on the layers. Let's see what we have here. We've got outer circle. There seems to be an inner circle. There's darker green. So the outer one is green and towards the edge it's yellow. So there's probably from this side across there's a gradient that's happening. And I would say it's a linear gradient. So it goes from green, and about from that side you see the yellow starts taking place. This other area here seems to be pretty much uniform as far as the green goes. And then we have I could almost call it what do we call this thing? A donut. Probably have a replica of a donut here and a part here and another part of the donut there, and they are made to be transparent. The problem is that when I analyze it and you look at it for too long, then it almost loses its effect. Okay, but bear with me, we're trying to just break it down and see. So this outside line here has also a same sort of thickness coming around here, and it's got sort of from a green area to sort of a yellowish area, and this is made relatively white, this outside area. So these are made of kind of, I can make them out of all donuts. You know, one donut for the middle, one donut from the outside, donut, donut, donut here, and a donut there split. So each of these segments could possibly be made with donuts. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 donuts. Okay, that's my strategy. Hopefully it works. I won't go across into these ones at this point because I think it's a kind of different blend. We're just looking at this green one and seeing how we can replicate it. So let's get going and see what we come out with. We start off with the donut, and I keep my shift down so I can constrain this circle, and let's see where we go to. Okay, sort of kind of get middle. Then I keep what is it, Control Alt, so I can Control Alt Shift so I can constrain it to the center. Okay, so here now I'm going to play a bit of a game with the transparency so I can see through this, and I can see where the edges lie. That's going to help me. Maybe make the stroke a bit thicker. Okay, so we can see what's going for what. So we're going to treat it each as independent. The bottom one is going to be the full Monty. So I'm going to go, if I click Node Tool, I'll be able to see these little handles. So I can just jam it right to the middle, and it's going to be our starting off the base one. Let's give it a name and call this maybe base. Base Pi. Okay. Then I'm going to just duplicate that. I'm going to press Control J, and I'm going to call that center. Okay, so that one I'm going to practically, I'm going to keep Control Alt and Shift, and we're going to proportionately pull it down to about that area. Now there is a kind of a discrepancy because I don't have it perfectly on center, but this circle is center for the ones we are using. Okay, so we've got the base, we've got this inside area. Now I am going to hide these two, but before I hide it, I'm going to just make a duplicate of one of them because I'm going to utilize them for these sort of these circular areas here. Okay, hopefully you're still with me. So the base one, I'm going to just hide the center one, and the base one I'm going to go Control J. So I've created an extra one here, similar to the base, and then I'm going to take this, grab it in the little icon here in the layers, and I drag it right to the top. And then so the center now I'm going to, it's hidden, and the base one I'm going to hide. For safety's sake, I'm going to just keep shift down, select both of these and lock them so I don't inadvertently move them, even though I can't see them. So now I've got this as a base. I'm going to call this my shiny areas. Okay, so let's start off. Which one should we go for? Okay, so I'm going to grab, I'm on the node tool, I'm going to grab the middle again and then just pull it out to about that area. Okay, so maybe, let me go Control Z. I'm going to just make a duplicate of this because one of them I'm going to keep using over and over from the starting point. So let me just say start shine. So I'm going to constantly use this. Oops, I'll leave the H there. I'm going to go Control J, and I am going to hide the top one, and this is the one I'm going to use every time I'm going to duplicate this, the base one that I'm recreating, because then I can keep the sort of proportionality right and keep it sorted. So this one is going to be, let's start off with this area here, this light area. So this is going to be a pie, but I'm going to size it down to match there. So let's get that going. I'm going to now grab in the middle here where we let's call this right thick light. Okay, right thick light, so that I know that it's this area. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go make sure I'm on the node tool, and I'm going to grab the middle node and pull it back and take it all about there. Okay, so you've got the idea of where it's going to there. Now I can grab, which side do I grab? This one, that's him. So we'll take it around here. So that's about the area that we want to cover. It's snapping quite nicely. Now, instead of me going and then using the start to make this other one, I think I could duplicate this and just swivel it around. So I'm going to go on this layer and press Control J, and I'm going to call it left. Let me call this left. L-E-F-T, left thick. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this, because it's pivoting usually around the center point, I'm going to just take this and rotate it and get it around about there. Is that about the same? Yeah, pretty much there. So I've got left thick, the light area, and right thick, the light area. Okay, so I'm going to hide those, and in the meantime I'll select both of them again, keep shift down, select both and lock them. Okay, so we've got the big base circle, we've got this inner circle that we've created, we've got these two light areas we've created now, and now I'm going to switch on again that base circle and use that as a reference again. So I'm probably going to create a few of these. So I'm going to go Control J. Whoops, wait, I don't know what I did there. I'm going to select that and go Control J and hide the top one again and use one of those copies. So what are we going to start doing now? I think I'm going to go for this area here on this side. Okay, so in this case I am going to take the middle again and move it right out till about that area, and the outside I'm going to have to do a proportionate, so keep Control Shift and Alt and make it smaller. Let's get the outside. So this line is following the outside, and then I can just take this and take it right into that area. Okay, and now I'm going to do again the little cutoff. And I think what I'm going to do is go till that point, and I'll make a duplicate of this and extend it there so I can keep the colors, because that looks like just a total white, and this has a bit of tone green to yellow. So let's pull that about till there. Then I'm going to go Control J again, and wait, I should label this, maybe call it thin lower left. Thin lower left. You get the idea that I have to name it descriptively, else I will lose track of where I am. Okay, so what was this start shine? Thin lower left, start shine. Okay, I have no idea what this was. Oh, you know what I think I did? I think I duplicated it already. Let's see. Yep. So I'm not aware of what I'm doing here. And then maybe take this around. Okay, hopefully you know what I'm doing here. I'm taking the nodes on the outside. That's what the donut allows me to do, to pull it from the inside and to sort of loop it around here. So I'm doing that so I can find the extent, and maybe just move it a little bit. Yeah, probably a little tweak. I know, trust me, there is a better way of doing it. That should be fine. It's snapping nicely there. So this one we are going to call thin lower, or what can we call it? White lower left. Okay. And yeah, I suggest that you kind of give it relative descriptive names so that you don't get as confused as I get. Now here we have this other one here is pretty much on the same line like this. Might have a bit of different thickness, but I think we can get away with it. So I'm going to just go Control J. I'm duplicating that one, and then I can turn it around. Okay, it has a bit of a sort of a wider position, so I'm going to just Control Alt and J. No, Control Shift and Alt. Well, which ones? Am I confusing you now? Okay, so the key is to hover over one of the buttons here and then press your Control Alt and Shift there. Because if you're not on it and you do the modifications, it tends to do a different reaction. So hover over the corner and then go. You don't have to click, you just hover there, Control Alt and Shift, and then we're going to just extend it a little bit. That's perfect. And then we can take that around. Then again, oops, almost didn't label it. So we'll call this, and I know you might get to a point where you go like, this is but a lot of PT to keep labeling, but it does help, and it's a small price to pay. Sorry. So this is top left thin. Let's call that top left thin. And I'm going to duplicate that now. Go Control J, and then turn that around that way. And I have to bring this around. Let me just grab the rotate here. So I think we probably got a nice positioning there. Okay, so that one's going to be top left thin. Maybe call it top left thin. How about that? Okay, I think you're kind of getting an idea where we're getting all of these strategies to. Then I think we can complete the next batch by maybe disabling all of these so we can hide them and select them and lock them. Okay, then I'm going to go again and make my bottom one visible. And I think this is probably the last one that we need to do, which we're going to do this white area and this white area. So hover over that, Control Alt Shift, and pull it to about that place. Okay, because that's the outside area. We can grab the inside and then get it to measure the inside zone. Okay, I kind of will go with a little snap there because then it's nice and proportionate. So we've got that. Same thing applies. We're going to take it around there, and this side, let's take it there. Okay, I'm going to just use a bit of creative liberties to make it a little bit spacier there. Okay, the main thing is that we have a little break between that area and this area. This one we're going to call thicker top left big. My goodness, I'm running out of names now. I'm going to go Control J, and we're going to call this thinner top left. Okay, so I've duplicated the one there. Let's take it around there and bring this in. Okay, so I think we pretty much, let's see, we take that maybe a little bit, we make it a bit square. So we pretty much got the different zones, and now it's about creating the coloring in of them. Okay, so yes, where a bit of a challenge happens, because if you color things and they are concealing the bottom areas. Sometimes you do the color and you can't see and you've got to shift it away. So a probably good principle to do is I go and I create an artboard. Click artboard, insert artboard. Okay, we don't need this bigger size artboard. I should have actually selected the object and say make an artboard that size. But anyhow, let's click on artboard. I'm going to just drop it down to about that size. And there we go. And then I'm going to click outside, click on the word artboard, keep the control button down, and I keep shift to constrain it can stay nice and straight, and just put the second one there. Okay, so in this case here now, I'm going to take the, let's see, yeah, that first one is the, it's first in the layers, but it's the second one here. So I'm labeling that so I know where I'm working. So in this case, I'm going to go in and I'm going to hide this image. Okay, I'm going to just unlock all of these layers. Let's click there. We can do it all in one go. And I'm switching them all on. So I've got them all selected. If I click one, we'll see all of them. Okay. So we have now all of these areas that we have chosen. So let's start off with doing the bottom. Now, I don't have to keep this panel stuck far away. I can get it nice and close so that we can see it in our working area. So let's go and select all of these. And I'm going to just click once there and it will hide everything. Am I in the right place? Yes. Okay, so that's the base we're working with. So in this case, we are going to drop in a color now. And to get the colors, I would grab this eyedropper tool and drag it over. Which one are we going to go? We're going to go down here. Okay, so that's going to be our kind of a starting of green color. Then I'm going to go to the fill tool and just drag it from there. Yeah, let's double click here, and then I'm going to pop it from that color we chose in there. And then this color, I'm going to go and drag this over here to the yellow. Okay, so I have the yellow in there. Make sure I've got this selected and I can pop that color across. So there I think we've got a bit of a tone happening. However, if we feel maybe it needs a bit more green out here, we can always take the slider and vary that. But let's keep that going for the meanwhile. Okay, let's accept that that is sorted. We can now on that level just put a lock there. Now we switch on the next one. In this case, we're going to go with this kind of, you've got to help me out with this one here. It looks a darker green here and a bit of a yellowish there. So maybe that's a similar gradient, but that gradient tends to run a little bit more passively. But to know what colors to work with, now don't worry about the outlines, these black outlines, I'll make them transparent. I just need to define them when we're working with them. I'm going to go and drag this selection tool and let's get nice down probably into this sort of dark zone area. Okay, so that's the dark area which we have over there. So if we've got this selected, I am going to go drop in a gradient tool, which is going to go from, say, there across. And then I select this area here, and I'm going to pop in that dark color. Okay, and towards the top area here, I'm going to go and select maybe that lighter green over there. We can just pop that in there and drop in the lighter green. So we're having that kind of gradient look. Hopefully we're getting somewhere to where we want to be. If it does look like it's maybe radiating from the middle where it gets dark on the outsides and light to the inside, then we're probably going to choose a different type here, like a radial type. But I don't think it's that. I think we're pretty much where we're getting on there. Okay, so now I'm going to just unlock that one so I can select both of these, and let me just switch off these the outlines so that it looks a bit more clean where we're working. Okay, yeah, there is a bit more of a dark area to the edges over here, so yeah, let me not get too caught up with it. Let me check. probably it's something on this level where we have a gradient there, and over here we go maybe for a darker tone or something. Okay, or it might be a, let's try radial. Did I say radial? Yeah, so radial would move. No, I don't think it's radial. Yeah, let's just keep it linear. Forgive me if I'm not replicating this to the T. I think the concept helps here. So let's get this switched on. Let's lock these two so that I don't move them. Let's switch the next one on, that one. So this one is going to be pretty much a white area. Let me remove the edging. And does this have a grade? It seems just like a uniform color. So I'm not going to use the transparency gradient tool. I'm just going to drop the opacity down, probably to something like that. Let's see what we have it on, 13%. Yeah, so we're kind of getting something going over there. Let's switch the other one on and just do it a white one. 0 edge, and let's pop that down to 13. Oh, it's, yeah, 13%. Let's just keep it going in the same direction. Okay, so yeah, I think we kind of got something going there. Then we can switch on the other ones. That one is, okay, I'm going to do a gradient in this one just to try and keep as much. The challenge is of taking a sample here, it's looking through this particular area. So I'll just take a kind of universal sample here. We'll select that area, and I'll go and maybe take a sample from this light color area and pop it in there and switch off the boundary black area. So yeah, we got something, but that I think is still, yeah, it's showing, you see the colors vary when it gets underneath there, and we're needing it to get a bit lighter. So maybe we're going to go in with a gradient tool there, and choose that from the green. Maybe pop this here and choose the exact same color, and then try and go a little bit lighter on that. Or should we go a bit yellower? Okay, probably think, there we go, maybe get into some space like that. Okay, I think that's probably acceptable there. Let's switch this other one on, and this other one we're going on for a pearly white, and disable the borderline. Okay, but I think it's a bit too bold there. I'm going to kind of go 80%. Did I change that? Let's go 80%. And yeah, you know, to even add a bit more realism, you could add a bit of Gaussian blur, but I'm not going to go down that route. Let's maybe make it 60%. Okay, yeah, that's probably closer to where we're going to. This gradient, I think we shouldn't be too aggressive going into that area. I think we should stick with a bit more kind of greeny area and lighter. Okay, but you get the idea that we're trying to replicate that area. And now let's go for these two outline areas. Let's switch them on. Same thing, it's probably going to be, we select that, and then I'm going to go pull on a light gradient there, or a light color. Switch off the bounding area. Okay, and I think that's pretty much quite close to what we want. So we can just select this one and pop in the same color we used. Switch off the bounding box, and we have those two. And I guess these two are probably going to create the most realism when we come to it. We're going to go and, just for the sake of completeness, choose that as a sample color and pop it in there. Okay, so it's not a perfect white, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it's a bit backed off of white. Drop that same color, pass it in there, and there we go. Okay, have we achieved some sort of result? Maybe I should go a bit more bold with this white color. We can tweak with it a bit. Let me just remove those areas and see what we got here. Okay, yeah, I think we've got something. However, this is too clean for me. It's kind of, maybe let's put a 49, and I'm probably not going to choose the proper font for this 49, but I'm just going to get a figure in there. 49, and let's get a percentage. Oops. 49, there we go. I'm confusing myself here. Let's grab that there, put that, and just double click there for a percentage. I can't see too nice. The lighting is not that good here. Let me see, where's my percentage? There we go. Okay, so the percentage we're going to make much smaller, as in the example. And then I'm going to choose maybe B house. I think that's how they Neve B house, if that's what it's. There we go, something like that. And let's pull that together. I'm going to just go Control G to create a group there, and maybe so I can keep the sizing nice. Okay. Okay, I know the proportions aren't exactly the same. I'm not going to spend too much time on doing that. Let me get a color going here. 49%. Okay, so if we get that going, what I would do, yes, that kind of looks clinically sufficient, but I would go in and possibly try doing something like selecting it all and then maybe adding a Gaussian blur on it. I don't know if that is going to kind of soften it up a little bit. Say maybe 0.1 pixel. Okay, you see if I switch it off, yeah, it might be like I'm going to just try and select all of it and go in. It might seem like a little insignificant amount, but when it's switched off, it does add. Maybe put it as 0.25 or 0.3. That's maybe a bit too much. So I think maybe 0.1. Let's stick to 0.1. It's just to add a little bit of, blurry edges so that the thing doesn't look too clinically clean. There's a few other things that can be done to create more realism, but we're trying to replicate what we have here. For example, let me just show you, if we had to want to create realism here, you could do a transparency blend and maybe do it this way, where you create a talk like this, maybe. So it goes in a blend and it gets to the edges, and you find at the edges it kind of blends in more into a color like that. So you can fiddle around with that kind of thing. But generally, I think, that's where we got to. I know if I have a very professional graphic designer looking at my work, they might criticize how I've done it. But I think pretty much we've kind of replicated what is happening over here in as close a way. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how I would approach a thing like this. In this case here, this looks exactly the same as in the design. So you probably replicate this and then start to change the colors that are dropped in there. Hopefully that looks kind of like that one, these two. As I said, if you're feeling it's too clean, add a bit of Gaussian blur just to sort of dirty it up a bit. And that sometimes gets softer on the eye and it looks more kind of presentable. So have a fantastic day and God bless.